Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, after the very long weekend wrap that we had last week, probably this one might be just about 10 minutes or so. I haven't watched all of the Matchroom card, but I did watch the co-main and the main event. So Diego Pacheco versus Sean McMan, and I watched Richardson Hitchins versus Gustavo Lamos. I've seen bits of the Galao fight, and I've seen small bits of the Sky Nicholson fight, but I can't really speak about those two tough, apart from obviously who won, and obviously Mark Castro as well went the distance, which I kind of predicted. Sky Nicholson did what Sky Nicholson did, from what I've seen, although there did look like she tried to put a bit more spite in some of her shots, so I'll give her some credit for that. Yeah, I saw the first couple rounds of the Galao fight. He still pretty much does what he does, like uses his forearms to create space, tries to sort of turn with the opponent, overwhelms with punches, but he got the guy out of there. I can't even remember what round, which isn't really that important right about now. But yeah, the reason this one's obviously very short, I'm on my way out. I've got to go somewhere, so I can't really, I don't have much time, unfortunately. And to be honest, this weekend, full transparency, this is WrestleMania season. So I was watching NXT Stand and Deliver. I was watching WrestleMania Saturday. I'm going to be watching WrestleMania Sunday later on tonight when I come home. So boxing is taking a back seat, especially as, you know, there's no real big cards. That being said, Diego Pacheco against Sean McMan was it was a much tougher fight than I was expecting. I've seen Sean fight before. I've never seen him be as much of maybe like an ambush fighter as he was in this one, but I was expecting him to try and jab his way into sort of create range. But he was actually being very smart and very awkward with his angles and the way he was allowing himself into range, especially in those early rounds. I feel as if Diego kind of found his rhythm a bit better in the second half of the fight, sort of more from about round 4 or 5 onwards. And he was having a lot of good success there, but then he was starting to get a bit frustrated with a lot of the sort of the clinching, the holding, the tying up from Sean McMan. But he was doing that and then trying to also work at the same time, which I felt was a pretty good move by him. It went to the cards. I thought that Pacheco would probably be able to sort of break him down and get him out of there fairly late, but I also could see a situation where it did go to points. And McMan's tough. I knew his punching power probably wouldn't affect Pacheco that much, but he actually did quite well. He sort of marked him up a bit. There's still some stuff to work on, but I was saying before, like, in the day, Pacheco, he can be in the mix, but at 22 years old, there's no rush. There's absolutely no need for him to be looking at the world titles yet. Wait for Canelo to bounce, maybe even some of the others to age up and move up. Then you can sort of reign there for a couple of years before you eventually move up to 175, because he's heading up there sooner or later. But yeah, 22, still get these learning fights in. Just take 2-3 more like nice level fights in and around this level, top 15 guys, top 10 guys, and then just get yourself in a mandatory position, and then just relax and take it from there. That's what I'd kind of see. But yeah, I enjoyed that fight. Main event, Richardson Hitchins versus Gustavo Lamos. Now, I thought that this would be the fight where Richardson Hitchins would be able to use that perfect jab of his and actually keep the distance a lot better, and be able to walk Lamos onto some shots later on to sort of bust him up and take him out. And the fight didn't play out that way, especially in those first 4 rounds. Now, I feel like the first 4 rounds of the fight was crucial, because that's where, to me, it was won and lost in terms of the scorecards. Now, I actually had it 39-37 to Hitchins after 4. I gave him the first round. I gave Lamos the second, and then I gave Richardson Hitchins the third and the fourth. I do remember my scorecard, but well, I know my scorecard, but I just don't remember it fully off the top of my head because there's a couple of rounds I need to go back and re-watch just to make sure that I actually did score them correctly. But when I did watch the fight, and I watched it after the fact, so even though I didn't know the result, the fight had already played out, and I think I was watching up until about round 8 or 9. Then I ended up going on X to look at I got a notification about something, and then I happened to see him respond to someone saying, I want like the I won that fight, numbers don't lie. So at that point I already knew that he had won. I just didn't know how the judges are seeing it. But to give you a little perspective, like my scorecard was I think 115, 113. I had him 7 rounds to 5, so it was a lot more. It was a lot closer than I was expecting it to be, and part of that is due to the pressure and the volume of Lamos. A lot of his shots, they weren't landing, and it was quite visible that they weren't landing, but they was causing Hitchins to have to be in a bit of a defensive position, which obviously then looks like Lamos is the one with ring generalship. He's actually controlling the round. He's controlling what happens within those moments. Rounds 5 to me, rounds 5 to 8, rounds 5 to 7, I would say. So those 3 rounds were all Hitchins. So at that point I had it like 6-1. But then round 8 was definitely a Lemos round, and then I think round 9 was a strong comeback round for Hitchins, but I also think that Lemos got that one. Then I know Hitchins came back well in the 10th, and at this point I think it was rounds 9 and 10 where he was actually starting to land to the body, and it really looked like it was slowing Lemos down, taking his legs away, and it really looked as if he could have been on his way to get that stoppage, but Lemos managed to get that second wind, especially rounds 11 and 12, and I ended up giving him both of those rounds. So yeah, I can't tell you exactly what my scorecard was off the top of my head, but I do know I did have it 15 to 13 in favor of Hitchins, but it was very close, and there was a couple of rounds in there. Yeah, they, if they went the other way, I think the 6th round might have been won, and the 9th round could have also been reversed in as well. The 12th was very clearly, well, the thing is, I would say it was very clearly Lemos, but Hitchins also landed some very good shots in that round. It was just that he was majorly outworked, even though a lot of Lemos's punches weren't landing. And when you look at the CompuBox stats at the end of the fight, he threw over 100 punches more than Hitchins did, but he landed, I think, 15 punches less or something like that. So a lot of the clean, effective work was coming from Hitchins, but it was just about whether or not the judges would rate the activity and the pressure and the work rate. And I knew that would be the case because, as I said, Argentinians extremely tough, very tough, very hard-headed, but they normally have, soft bodies. And you could kind of see every time Hitchins was stabbing to that body, was really stabbing that jab and punching that body, you would see Lemos almost like double over, fold over. So it was it was clearly effective. I feel like if he had gone to the body more, especially in maybe not the first 4 rounds, because obviously they were the most dangerous ones, but if he had have invested in that body a lot more, I feel like he could have done a lot cleaner of a job. That being said, Gustavo Lamos, really good competitor. I think Eddie Hearn said, yeah, he's definitely going to have him back on Matchroom cards again. It makes sense. He's a action-packed fighter, comes in with a lot of grit, a lot of heart, and he probably deserved the 115, 113s, maybe even to get a draw card on there would have, I reckon, been fair. The 117, 111 card was a bad card. The widest you could possibly have this fight is 116, 112, and that's being extremely generous. There's no way that Hitchins won 9 rounds. He just didn't. There's an argument to say 8. I would even say if you had like a couple of draw rounds in there, then maybe you could have had like 117, 113. like 2 rounds that you maybe drew, but even then I would have, I don't really do draw rounds like that. So yeah, the right person did win in my opinion. I just think that maybe that one particular scorecard just made it feel a lot worse than if it was all three of them said 115, 113. I don't think there would have been much complaints. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like I said, I had to keep this one brief. Like, subscribe, share. I will be back with more content throughout the week. I'm going to see if I can get stuff done on Monday and Tuesday, as well as the regular schedule of Wednesday to Sunday. But we'll wait and see for that. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate everyone. Yeah, and I will be back later. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to try and enjoy mine. Peace.